hello and welcome to another edition of your favourite podcast, Insane and Membrane, with me, Rich Wilson, and producer Paul, manning the old buttons over there.
But not on camera.
But not on camera. He doesn't like to be on camera. If he is on camera, he puts his hat on.
Yeah.
So we can't see his egg-like dome on the cameras there. Yeah. So anyway, this is a good episode coming up. Mr. Mark Simmons. But before we get into that, I have a brief chat about his own podcast called Jokes with Mark Simmons. It's a brilliant podcast. I did it a few years ago, and it's just talking to comedians about how they come up with material and, you know, writing. How do you write material? How do you write jokes? Where do you get, that classic? Where do you get your ideas from? That sort of thing. It's a really good fun podcast to do, because until you sit down and actually talk to someone about it, you don't really think about how you do come up with stuff. I've been doing it 20 years now, and I've had a few sit downs with a few people trying to help them with their writing, and I suddenly realised I don't even know how I do it, so I don't know how I'm going to tell someone else to do it. So it's a really interesting thing to have a sit down with Mark and do that. And he writes proper jokes, like he does one-liners, and we talk about that in the episode. Just because you can write a lot, like a minute's worth of material. I think it's something like it's like a 1 A4 size piece of paper. It's like a minute. So you can write that much in a minute, say so much in a minute. And he's got to do, he's got to fill an hour with one-liners. That's a lot of writing. So it's really interesting to talk to him about that. And in my last introduction with Mr. Danny Ward, I got it round the wrong way, because we met, Danny's one mentions Mark Simmons' episode, but we'd actually recorded it the other way around. So we did Mark first, and then we did Danny Ward. Now I'm really letting you in behind the scenes here. I don't know.
Behind the chaos.
I was doing this massive introduction about the last one, and then and at the end of this is Danny Ward, and then realised I was supposed to say Mark Simmons. Anyway, now we're doing Mark Simmons' one, and in this episode, do you know what? Listen to it. You've been listening. When you listen to Danny's, he referenced an episode with Mark Simmons. That's this one. So I got him round the wrong way, and I've confused it even more now. I'm going to keep this all in. Listen, if you're in the car listening to this, this is just to keep you awake. All right, this garbage, this dross that's fallen out of my head. This is just so you go, what the fuck, and it'll wake you up, and it'll get you to the next service station where you get yourself a cup of coffee and a donut just to wake you up again. Although be careful when you do eat sugar on the road. You've got a 20-minute window before you start to fall asleep again, because that sugar, you get the sugar rush, but the crash 20 minutes after you've eaten it is brutal. So maybe avoid the donut. Get yourself a salad. Do you know what? Get yourself a cucumber and just gnaw on that. Just gnaw it. Just eat a cucumber like a lolly. Keep you awake. Anyway, that's the advice. You what?
Or sit on it.
That'll keep you well awake. I mean, that'll keep you going until breakfast time. Shove it up your ass. I don't know if it would have the integrity to do it. Wouldn't it? You'd have to get a fresh one.
Yeah, definitely fresh.
You'd have to go fresh. You couldn't get there's no point going, that's been in the fridge for a while, let's throw it away. Hang on a minute, I've got one more idea. I'm going to shove that out my backside. Anyway, this is taking a turn. Listen, let's just get on with the podcast, shall we? Coming up in a minute is Mark Simmons. There he is, Mark Simmons. Finally, Mark Simmons. He's on. Good to see you, mate. You're here, mate. Good to see you. You well? You're right. How was Christmas?
How was Christmas? Yeah, it was nice, actually. It was fairly quiet, relaxed. Just finished my tour, and it did feel like a sort of thing afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's I'm just trying to have a little bit of time to do normal things. I went to watch a show the other day, which I haven't done in ages.
Wow, it's weird, isn't it, when you do that?
Yeah.
When you've got a night off, I think people don't understand, because I do understand on the outside, when you look at comedians, you only see like the finished sort of product. So I can understand why people are going, it's an absolute DOS being a comedian. But you don't realise the travel, actually writing the material in the first place, putting it into the self-promotion that you have to do in order to get to a point where you can sell tickets for a tour show. It's a lot. I mean, it's not digging holes in the floor or stacking shelves, but at the same time, there is an effort that goes into it. So when it's finished, you can go, fucking hell, all right. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I do feel a guilt when people say you work so hard, and I'm like, well, we do work hard, but it is the best job.
Yeah, of course.
And the thing with comedy is I think it because of the sort of job it is, you don't ever actually have a switch off time in the day. So like I always feel like I should be working more, always, no matter how much I'm working, because there are always jokes to write.
Yes.
So and they can come at any time. So I almost feel like I can't really switch off because I'm like, but what if the best joke I've ever written would have come to me if my brain was just in that moment? But that's probably not healthy. That's probably good for this podcast. That's probably not a healthy way to live. And I'd always get family telling me I need to do other things, life things. But it is hard because I love the job so much.
Yeah.
That most things I'd rather be on stage making people laugh and socialising with comics backstage and whatnot.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's one of those. I think you get to a point when you've been doing it long enough, and you and I have been going. I think I've been going a bit longer than you, but you get that. There's just a bit of your brain that just suddenly sort of not detaches, but it's just separate from the rest of everything else that's going on. There's just constantly collecting stuff. I've said this on here before. You just always, like, you'll be chatting to someone and then they'll say something and you'll go, that's a good line. And then you're watching something and they go, that's a good bit. Or, oh yeah, what about, and just that bit of your brain's just constantly whirring.
I've annoyed so many girlfriends because I've had girlfriends and they're talking to me and they just look at me and they go, you're thinking of a joke, aren't you? So I think I just glaze over. And the thing is, all I'm thinking is, because I've had so many times when you're driving, you think of probably the best joke you'll ever write, and by the time you stop and are able to write it down, you've completely forgotten it.
Oh, mate. Yeah.
So now I've got that anxiety that I have to get it written down as soon as I think of it. And
I've been parked up in some strange places.
Your Honour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just writing jokes, Your Honour.
Yeah. But why were you parked in the middle of the box junction?
And why was she there? She's my muse.
Yeah. But I guess it's nice talking to other comics about it because there is a tendency to think you're the only one that's mad in that way. Yeah. But I wouldn't change it. No.
As in, I did a normal job for probably 12 years or something, which was, it was a good, nice job, but it wasn't fulfilling in the same way that this is.
Yeah. So was it the same job?
Yeah. I worked at Kent University when I left my uni. I went to Manchester and then I got a job at Kent Uni, and it was, on paper, it was to do with my degree, but in reality, literally anyone could have done the job. It was like it started as a graduate sports something, and then turned into like a duty manager of a sports centre.
Right.
So, and it was nice, and it was always around young people, and it was an energetic place and really fun. But there was there's a glass ceiling.
Yeah.
Is it a glass ceiling or just a ceiling? I don't think it's glass. Because a glass ceiling is where you can see another job, but you can't actually get to it. But no, there was no other job. It was cement.
It's a proper ceiling. There was going nowhere. See nothing.
But what I like about comedy is, no matter where you get to, there is always a new goal, and I think I've always been driven in that way because I was a sporty guy when I was younger, and I always wanted to be the best at that sport, be a professional in whatever sport I was doing, and that really motivated me. And even though a lot of it was unrealistic, just having that as the goal kept me happy, I think. And then so taekwondo was my thing when that was the most realistic thing I could achieve, because I'd done it since I was really small. My dad taught it. and or still teaches it. And I was competing. Well, I was competing when I was at uni, and when I left uni, I started doing a lot of competitions. It's like pretty big competitions and like international. They're international competitions, but not like representing Great Britain. But that was my goal.
Right.
Essentially, the biggest goal was the Olympics.
Okay.
And I mean, looking at it now, and I think I knew this at the time, but I started the competition side of it way too late to realistically be able to get to that point.
Yeah.
But in my ambitious brain, I was like, well, if I fight at the British Open and I beat the guys that are representing Great Britain, you can't be denied.
Yeah.
So I always felt like there wasn't a chance of something like that. And then I kept getting injured, kept having injury problems, and then gave up. And weirdly, and I've only really put this together since, is that was when I started comedy.
Right.
So it was like I was replacing one thing
Yeah, of course.
with goals with another. But it wasn't like an active thought. But essentially, so I've been able to maintain that kind of dream that, of achieving more.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's funny when you start off with comedy. Well, we start with anything. You start off with, oh yeah, I'm going to end up. I want to be the best. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. Not necessarily just comedy, but anything. And as you get into it, after a while, you kind of like it starts to come down a bit. And you go, as long as I can gig, as long as I'm gigging in these places, I'll be all right. And then it's the point. As long as I've just got gigs, I don't care where they are. That's where I'm at now. I've had that.
It's like long term. You've got
go on.
You got your long term goals, and it doesn't really matter how unrealistic they are.
Yeah,
because it still is possible, and it is still possible for us both. We could both be cast in a Hollywood movie.
Yeah,
we could. Davy Johns did it.
Yeah.
That's one in however many comics do comedy, but it is possible.
Yeah.
And then you got the short term goals, and I guess this is the way my brain works. This is the sort of stuff I studied because I study sports science. This is the sort of stuff we would study, as in setting goals as performers.
Okay.
And once you reach a goal, you then reset your goals. And again, I don't do it actively, but I think it is in there.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, because like when I started, well, I guess initially all you want is to get into a competition final. That's kind of because that's then the next step to get in proper working clubs, because people will trust that you can do the job if you've been in a final, etc. But when I started, I used to go and watch a lot of shows at the university at the Gulbenkian.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And I'd watch every tour show that comes through, and people I've never heard of. Like I watched Rod Gilbert before anyone knew who Rod Gilbert was.
Right, yeah.
And when I watched him, most people would probably watch and go, "Oh, I wish that was me." But Lloyd Langford was supporting him, and in my head, Rod Gilbert, that was so out of reach of a realistic goal. All I wanted to do was be a tour support. That was so cool to me that act, nobody knows, gets to come on and play this amazing room. And that was always what I wanted. And then when I started doing tour support, and then you sort of readjust, and you think, oh, maybe I could do my own tour one day.
It's funny, isn't it? It's that. Yeah, like people say to me when I started, "Oh, you're a barman. Oh, did you watch the other comics?" I go, "Oh, I can do that. I'm better than that." I'm like, no, not once. Not once did I stand there going, "I'm going to do that one day." I just kind of enjoyed it, and it just sort of happened that I became a comedian. And then that's when it started. When I started doing it, and then it was like, well, I'd see like the headliners like coming in to green rooms, and they were so confident and so chatty and this, and I'm like, oh, I want to be that in a green room. I want to be able to come in and just be chatting, and everyone's chatting to you, and then you achieve that, and then you go right. Well, I'll do some tour support, and then that came along, and then you go, oh yeah, maybe I could just do my own shows, and then you start. I did have a moment where I went, would I be able to pack out the O2? Would people? And it was like I was very drunk one night. That went away pretty quickly. But it kind of escalates, doesn't it, as you go along? when you're starting out.
Yeah, you talk about the green room thing. It took me a long time to be comfortable in that green room environment. I was very much the sit and not talk kind of guy when I was in there.
Yeah.
And I think, mate, that might have come across as rude. I don't know, but I just didn't feel. It took a long time to feel like I deserved to be there talking to everybody.
Mate, same. Yeah. I think it's because I was the MC a lot of the time after a while, and so people have to talk to you. You know, it's it kind of that broke it down.
Yeah.
I know what you mean when you're playing like the store and places like that, and you'd be sat in the corner, no one talking to you. It was odd.
Yeah. And if I do say something, I feel like it probably wasn't what it was like, but it felt like complete silence
Every time.
like and the fit like a western, and the
Tumbleweed.
what do you call it? Tumbleweed rolls past. Yeah, but I've always been a bit like that. Like I think I've always I've only ever really thrived when I'm actually comfortable. You know, some people are just good in, even if they're nervous or they feel uncomfortable. But with me, like even at school, like with friends, if I was in my group of friends, I was really funny.
Yeah.
I was chipping in, not head of the table, but I was like a life and soul. I guess.
I know what you mean.
But in any other group within school, like if it's in sixth form and it was just lots of groups of, I then go in on myself because I'm just not comfortable in that situation. And I think it was the same with stand-up, because I got much better once I was comfortable on stage, and that took a long time to actually completely be comfortable.
Yeah. I know exactly what I mean. I'm at that point now where, I feel better on stage than I do off.
Same.
And it's not I've said this before on here. It's not an attention thing. I don't need to be in front of people. It's just easier for me to be concentrating on that, because I haven't got to worry about bills and all the other shit that goes on. Just got to worry about making sure they laugh, and as long as they're laughing, then we're all good. And then I can forget about all the other stuff. But
I struggle to concentrate on one thing when there's other stuff going on in my head.
All the time, mate.
With writing is where I notice it the most, because like if I've got a lot of admin-y things I'm doing at the moment. Like I'm trying to buy a flat.
Right.
And there's lots of little things you have to keep doing with that. And then it's my birthday coming up, so I'm trying to sort some things out with that.
Yeah.
And then I just can't get in a space where I'm creatively free enough. Whereas like last year I did the Adelaide Comedy Festival, and I've never written so much in my life because I have had nothing else to worry about.
Yeah, of course.
I had my show in the evening, and I got up, I could sit in a cafe, and my brain was just free. So it's all about trying to create that environment. So I'm trying to get stuff done as soon as things come up now.
I know what you mean. I've had things build up for years, and then it took me half a minute to do them. All I need to do is speak to that person, and then that thing's gone now.
Yeah,
it's crazy. When you're away, I found this as well when I was in places like Australia and wherever, and because you're away working. Yeah, it's like Edinburgh when we all go to the Edinburgh Festival. It's not reality. It's not real life. So you are able to go, well, I'm away. All this other stuff I've got going on at home, that's at home. That's in that world. This world here, I'm in Australia. I'm here to work. Okay, I'm going to do that then, and it just does. It does subconsciously unlock you from everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I think it's good to have that in the diary, knowing I'm going to have that couple of months over there.
Yeah.
Where.
And that's it as well. Like when I said earlier, people look at our lives and go, "Oh, it's a DOS. Oh, you're going to be 2 months in Australia in the winter when it's winter time here." You go, yeah, but I worked really hard to get to a point where I'd get booked to go. I'm not just chancing it. I've grafted to get. I had this argument because Kate, my wife, is a comic. She's on a different level than I am. She had to start again after COVID, so she's having to do all the hard graft at the beginning.
I think that's even harder now than it was when we started.
Mate, it's so fucking hard. I do feel for her. And then she looks at me and she goes, "Well, how comes you're just sitting?" I'm like, "I'm not just sitting here. I took 20 years to get to a point where it looks like I'm just sitting here. Like, it's all happening. Stuff's going on. Emails have been sent. Jokes have been written. It just looks like I haven't moved much. But it took a long time. So when people go, oh, you're going to be in Australia for 2 months, I go, yeah, because I got to a level where someone went, oh, why don't you come and do that out here? You know, and that just isn't just given to you.
There's also pressures then because you feel like you really need to back it up when you're there.
Of course you do, yeah.
And then the more you go over there, then, you know, because I'm doing more solo shows next time I'm going.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, that needs to be good because and that, like doing 20 minutes to an Australian audience, that's like it always takes a little while to work out what jokes work and what jokes don't work with that first 20. So the first two shows, I mean, the first time I went to Australia, I thought it was going to be the longest 2 months of my life because the first shows I really struggled because they don't really have one-liners over there so much. And they just weren't engaging at all. And then on the third show, I just literally just told them at the beginning, I'm a one-liner comedian. I'm going to tell you some jokes, little short ones. And then all the shows went well. Like they just needed to be told. Because they were watching me before going, like, I felt like they were going, why does he keep starting these stories and ending abruptly? But they just need to be told. And it's just learning that. So with an hour, it's just, that's a lot more material you've got to make sure works over there. So that's a bit of a stress, you know, in the build up to go in and in the first few days.
What I like is because being a one-liner comic, trying to come up with an hour's worth of that is, I mean, you can write so much in, you know, like when you write a whole side of A4 and whatever that is that a minute or whatever it is, to write one-liners. What I like is, having seen you now, is that you break it up with audience chat and, you know, and then you'll slip in, or you'll go, oh, tell me something, and then you'll have 15 jokes on that particular subject, which is where the workers come in. That's where all the work is. So instead of people going, oh, that's all right, Dos, go, do you have any fucking idea how long it took me to work out that just doing one-liners for an hour was going to be long, and I had to break it up and keep people engaged and make it interesting. And
there are times I regret. Well, I don't regret my style of comedy because I love it, and I think when you got the stuff, I don't think there's anything better than being able to go. I feel like the jokes are like bullets.
Yeah.
I just feel like you got so much ammo when you're up there, and I love just going bang, 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 bang. But in the writing, I do get, because with my podcast as well, I talk to a lot of comics about jokes and how they write, and I do get jealous of that. Like, you could have one idea, and you could literally wring out so many laughs out of that one idea.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have one idea, that's 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then I have to have another idea. But like I say, once it's there, it's beautiful. But it's just that process is, you know, that's probably the hardest part of this, I think. The actual performing is you know, that's fun.
Well, that's your treat at the end of all the grafting that you've done, when you're sitting there going, there's got to be a funny joke around. Well, like, you know, there's got to be a word. The word ceiling, that's a weird word. And you just sit there all day going, ceiling. And you just, you know, I've done it with a number, like, what's a funny number? It took me an afternoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you discover?
17.
27?
27.
17. That was quite close.
Odd numbers, I think, are funnier than even.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I've got a joke where I have to say a number now. And what do I say? Hang on, I have to go. Is that your noise or my noise?
No, I don't know. I think it's your end.
Is it?
Is it our end?
Yeah, that is my end.
Oh,
that's my end. Is that annoying?
Someone angle grinding your flat in half.
What number do I use? I say... I say 22.
Ah, okay.
But 22 is just because 22 is just a number that comes up in my life a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just a go-to number for me. I've lived in quite a few places, which is number 22, which is
That's weird.
Yeah. So maybe I should change that. 27.
I think, 27.
22 is shorter, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
17.
17.
27. You're right. I thought something funny about the word 7.
Yeah. I don't know why. And it's but when I've been talking to people, I had someone heckle me something. It was really childish and boring and shit. And I said, "What are you, 4?" And 4 was funny. So it's not always. Yeah.
What are you 2? What are you 4? What are you 5? Yeah, 4 is the funniest out of those lower numbers,
isn't it?
I guess it's also coming into with joke writing. I suppose it's that also. It's what does 4 represent? It's that age of, I guess, up to 4, you don't really know what you're doing, but you can almost at 4 you sort of know you sort of know the right from wrong more.
Yeah, you've got a handle on things.
But you are
4.
But it is the age where you actually misbehave, whereas before you can't really help it. Maybe.
Yeah, you're right. You've got yes. I think 4's quite arrogant, isn't it? When you're because you fucking know what you're doing, you little shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna toe punt you into the bushes. You carry on. Sorry, I'm just thinking back to my own childhood.
But I love all that stuff, the intricate joke writing stuff, which is, I guess that's where the podcast idea came from, because you've done my podcast, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
I just love the tiniest differences in a joke can make. That, you know.
Oh God, yeah.
So like, but like I could spend a long time on it, and that's probably not going over the same thing over and over is probably not healthy, is it? But it's like I had a joke about wine.
Yeah.
That I spent ages on. I reckon 3 years. I kept bringing it up on the podcast. Could not understand why it didn't work. Because to me the wordplay was right.
Yeah.
But the audience weren't making the connection. Literally nothing. And I kept trying it. And then something that I'd never really done before is I just changed the way I said it rather than the wording, and it now works.
Yeah.
So so the joke is, I went to buy some wine. I wouldn't say I went to buy some wine. I went to the off license. I said to the guy, "Could I have some wine, please?" He said, "Would you like boxed wine?" I said, "I've never had that before." He said, "It comes with a little tap on the bottom." I said, "Keep your hands to yourself." Right? So that's the way it works now. I'm so chuffed with it because it's taken so long. But the way I did it before was, for some reason, the way I first wrote it, I said it quite camp. I'd sort of go, I'd go, "Oh, keep your hands to yourself," like that, sort of more fun. But what I think with that is, there's 2 reasons I think it works now. Is I think when I go, "Oh, keep your hands to yourself," I say it quite quick, so it doesn't really give everyone enough time. When I do the other way, I go, "Keep your hands," pause, and then they're going, "Oh, he's doing something with his hand," and then they make the connection.
Yeah.
And also, when I go, "Oh, keep your hands to yourself," like my character in the joke knows it's a joke. It's because he's sort of being fun. He's going, "Oh, keep your hands to yourself." Whereas when I go, "Keep your hands to yourself," I mean, I'm an idiot. I'm the idiot in that joke.
Yes,
I've misunderstood what he says, and I think that is naturally funnier as
well.
well.
Always funnier. There's a few things I've got where, I'm the idiot, and it's fun. It's just funnier. I see a lot of comics, and I will say this: if any comedians are listening, we need to stop saying. So I looked him dead in the eyes. If I see one more comic,
mate, there's one. I love this guy, and he's very good.
Yeah.
Always been good. But once I noticed that was his thing, I can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Because he'll go, "I looked her dead in the eye. I looked him in the eye. She looked me in the eye."
Yeah.
Every time, every punchline. And I get it, because that's the rhythm beat.
Yeah.
But I cannot unsee that now. And there's a few comics that have little ticks like that, and then once you spot them, it's hard to,
I find I've had a few people do impressions of me, and they always go, "Way." I don't do that. And then
really, I wouldn't have said that.
I've had it a few times, and I'm like, "That's not who I am." And then
maybe that's a comparing thing. Maybe that's like that's the sort of thing that you do as a compare when it's a tough gig, when you've got a tough gig and you're trying to force some kind of fun into this shit room. You go, "Hey, come on, hey." Maybe that's what that is.
But I think we must try and stamp out, "I looked him dead in the eye." I've said it to Kate as well, because I just said, "I can't fucking handle it."
Next time we gig together, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to work through my entire set.
You're going to do it every single joke. I looked him dead in the eye.
Off camera, off air. Tell me who yours is, because I wonder if it's the same person.
I will do. And by the way, I love this person. I love these people. We all know who the dickheads are in comedy, and we all know most people. 99% of people in comedy are pretty cool. Everyone's pretty cool, but there's the few of them that everyone goes, knobhead. But then we all know they are. So whoever we're talking about, we're not slagging them off, all right?
Yeah. No. I mean, literally, the person I'm talking about has got brilliant jokes, and when I started, I really wanted to be like them because they just would smash a room.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I tell you, I saw Ben Pope again recently, separately. He doesn't say I looked him dead in the eye. This is separate now. This is a new topic. There's something about comedians we admire. Ben Pope, honestly, I saw him recently. And every time I watch him, I'm like, you piece of shit. I want to be that. It's so effortless.
Yeah.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, last time I haven't seen him for a while actually, but he was excellent.
Yeah.
Really
I just want to put that out there rather than slag people off.
That's nice. Yeah, we should do that.
So you and I, because you grew up in Maidstone, right? Or is it Canterbury?
So between Canterbury, Folkestone, and Ashford, like a little village.
Yeah.
But we met in Maidstone.
That's right. That's where I got that from.
I think I wasn't even on. My mate Kurt Driver, who's now his real name's Stuart Foreman, and he's doing comedy in Australia now. And he was doing an open spot at a gig, and then I came to watch. I think it was you, Paul F. Taylor, and I think Rick Kaiswet.
It was, yeah. Was it in a piano bar or something? In a pizza?
It was in a posh kind of nice, like not posh probably, it's Maidstone, but like posh for Maidstone.
But how do you? Because we grew up not far from each other. I mean, I'm a lot older than you, but still very. How did you find it growing up in Kent? Because Kent gets a rough ride. You know, there are pockets of it that aren't very nice. Like most places are really. How did you find it growing up in Kent?
How did I find it? I found it as a kid. It was okay because I was in a village. There weren't many people my age there, so the ones that we were all sort of best mates and wandered around the village most evenings when we were that sort of teenage age. So we didn't ever. There weren't many opportunities to get into trouble really. As I imagine, like I live in London at the moment, and I don't think I'd want to bring up kids in London.
No.
I don't think. It depends on the area, I suppose.
Well, funnily enough, I've been in London. The last 3 times I've been in London, I have seen those oiks on their little bikes nicking phones. And that's the last 3 times I've been in town.
Really?
Yeah, and one of them,
Wow.
I was walking to the boat. I was walking from Westminster to the boat show. And that little walk past New Scotland Yard.
Tourists.
And yeah, I saw them coming up, and then one of them peeled off and went up on the path. And I just thought, that's a bit weird. And he went in between these people taking photos, and he just went doink and just had the phone.
Wow.
And you go,
I mean, you got
what?
to respect the precision.
Honestly, it was like he was threading a needle. I've never
It's the
seen
modern day jousters, isn't it?
Mate, honestly, he came up on the path, weaved in and out of him, and he didn't slow down. He wasn't like, oh shit. He just went, vroom, and he got through, and he picked this phone up, and you go, yeah, there was a moment you go, that was so fast.
Yeah.
None of us could react. None of us had time to react. He just went.
I do fantasize about clotheslining someone like that.
Mate, afterwards, I had all the ideas. I was like, I should have thrown my bag at him. But then you got his mates, they'd have all come back and probably stabbed you in the back of the head, so.
Yeah. I mean, they've probably got people looking out for them, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Be
it's
careful.
that, and it was like, you know what? I'm glad I grew up where I grew up, and it was right on the edge of London. So London, we were always in London.
Right. I didn't.
Mate, and I always wanted to live in London. I ended up doing so. Lived south, lived all over, lived north, and it was great. But now I'll be like, I'm glad I didn't bring up my kids.
Yeah.
In London,
it's quite funny because when I started comedy, going to London was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like it was quite scary because I'd never done it. Like literally, I'd never gone to London on my own before I started comedy.
No.
Like I'd never have a reason to, because near Canterbury, it's not really there's no reason to go to London really. It's not really like I've been to London on like family things or days out, but it's a bit too, like with you, like you say, it's on the edge. But for me, back then, it was, I don't know, was it an hour and a half, 2 hour
Of course,
train?
yeah, that's far, isn't it? When you
It wasn't
when you're
there
young.
wasn't a fast train when I first started. But growing up wise, my school was had its moments.
Yeah,
Like it had all its different sorts of people.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was a comprehensive, and it wasn't the best school really. I was academically, I was at the top of like top classes, but I wasn't. I'm not an academic sort of person.
Right.
So that sort of tells you, I managed to get some B's in GCSEs and A levels,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that was like really pushing myself to get to that point.
Right. So there wasn't
And that
any
was-
sort of aspirations to like, sort of, I can't wait till I'm older and I can go and do what, blah blah blah. I can get out of here and no.
Like when I was choosing universities, I wanted to get away.
Yeah.
So I went up to Manchester, but that was more because I'd seen my brother had gone away,
Right.
and that seemed really cool to me because he'd gone to Bristol and I'd gone to visit him a few times. But yeah, I didn't ever have that thing of I can't wait to get out of here vibe.
No.
And also, it took me a long time to move to London. Like it's only in the last 5-6 years I moved to London.
Right. Okay.
And looking at it now, probably should have done it earlier. But it was that thing where I had the job in Kent, and I was always brought up to be cautious, like
Yeah.
financially. So I had a solid job, which I'd gone to uni to sort of get, and then to jump to do comedy because I don't know how I could have done it really until I got to, the only way I could go full time was when Sean Walsh asked me to do his tour support, and then I had 50 dates in the diary. I was like, okay, if I'm ever going to go full time, this is the time to do it. But then I still didn't move to London then, because if I then moved to London, then all of a sudden I've got to pay huge rent compared to what I'm paying. And I don't know, it didn't seem that important, but now I'm in London, I'm like, actually, it is, I think. And I wonder what difference it would have made if I had moved earlier. I had a meeting with a big agent once, and they basically sort of said, will you move to London? And I said no. And I think if I said yes, maybe they would have signed me at the time. But I feel like they wanted me to look like I want, I'd throw everything at it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But then you are where you are anyway. So maybe it was just you've done it.
I might not. I might have got opportunities too early back then, and then be sort of on the way down now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you'd be over the hill. You'd be Macaulay Culkin after Home Alone. You'd just be done.
His brother's doing all right though, isn't
His
he?
brother's doing brilliant. Can you believe that? He's gone from wet in the bed to winning all the awards. But you are, that's, I think people, like we talked about earlier, when you're getting into this and you want to be doing your own tours and you want to be doing, you want to have people excited to be coming to see you. That's what you want. And you've achieved that. And so that must be quite a nice feeling,
It still doesn't really make sense. Do you know what I mean? It's weird. I find it weird. I love it, and it's literally the dream, because a lot of people want to get on telly and all that, and that to me that was always a byproduct. Or a byproduct. It's like that's what you need to do to get to the point where you can sell. Because stand up is the thing I love. That's my favourite thing. And like I said about acting in Hollywood, sure, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
But really, the best thing to come out of that is I can then sell more tickets. Do you know what I mean? In my head. So that's where the pandemic and that kind of helped things for me in a way, because I learned how to edit in the pandemic. And now editing videos is probably the most important thing I do now.
Yeah. There's a few. Yeah, go on.
There's a direct relation to putting a video up and then selling tickets.
Yeah.
So it's quite a nice motivation to know that there's that knock-on effect, but also it's an added pressure of like, well, I need to do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one will come.
But it's been nice to see that there's a few people actually like you that they learned how to do things in the pandemic, or they sussed out that online was the way to go, be it on purpose or just like accidentally, and then seeing them, thrive now and getting an audience, and and it's funny watching the rest of us go, shit, we need to do that, and and now we're all trying to catch up. It's nice to see that there's some good, like you and Jeff Innocent, a few others, and Ian Stone, and you go like, yeah, you should absolutely be getting people coming to see you. It's nice.
But only takes one video.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's that it is hard. Like, I suppose when I started putting the videos up, it was easier because there weren't many people putting sort of hecklery kind of videos up. So all my videos popped quite early. But now my videos don't pop like they used to.
Really?
For me, it's all about consistency now of getting the videos out there. But the things. So in those days, everyone got excited with any heckler video because no one had seen that stuff.
Yes.
Before, but now everyone's seen it, so no one gets that excited unless it's something very specific in the video. Yeah. And then the videos where I ask people what their job, not the jobs, what their hobbies are, or for a topic about a joke, and I do a one-liner about the thing. When I first started doing that, no one had seen it, so they were excited and they would comment a lot because it's all about comments.
Yeah.
And engagement.
Oh, I see.
But people can enjoy the video now, and they're no different than they used to, but less people are going, wow, isn't he quick? Do you know what I mean? So for me now, I just have to put a lot of videos out, and they get a solid number, but they don't ever pop like crazy. And then maybe occasionally one will.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you have to. So what I was saying is the motivation to do it is quite hard if you're not getting back from it.
Oh God, yeah. I have moments where I go, yeah, that's going to be a good clip, and you go, right, and he got like 300-400, which is still all right in the great scheme of things. But you still go.
That's a gig, isn't it? That's a room full of people.
That's a gig.
At a gig.
Yeah, but you still go, oh, fucking hell, and you got to do it again, and then you go, what's the fucking? But he does wear you down. Also, you're talking about people engaging with your videos. I think it's got to a point. I think because people are just on their phones constantly, they don't even bother engaging with what they're watching. They're just skimming it, and they'll go, oh, that was good. They might send it to a mate, but they're just skimming through. They can't even be bothered to comment or even like it. Or
it takes a lot for them to actually commit to following you as well.
Yeah, oh, God, mate. I've stopped saying at gigs, give me a follow. So I barely ever get anything. So I've just stopped.
Yeah. It's hard because no one ever remembers to do it once they've left the gig, even if they loved you.
No, they just that was a good night.
Yeah. So, it is annoying, but like I was saying, it does just take one video.
Yeah.
To completely blow up, like that Carl Porter.
Oh,
he
God,
put up his slow mo video.
Yeah.
Like if he'd have just not felt like it, do you know what I mean? Not felt motivated, then none of that would have happened to him.
No.
So it's that kind of. It's hard, but it's that kind of. I do believe in just putting stuff out into the world, and something will happen.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know why. Maybe I read something about that years ago. But like so example I would always use when sort of talking to people about this is when I used to go and watch. I still do, but I used to go and watch a lot of movies, and I'd start. I started writing this blog that was just writing jokes about the movies. So maybe 5 or 6 jokes per movie, and just sticking them out there. And no one, read it. I don't think really. It didn't take off. I was hoping it would take off and that'd be a thing because back then it was before as the social medias are now. And then just one day I bumped into Sean Walsh, who I'd met years before when we started, and then he skyrocketed. So I didn't ever really see him after that. And then he just said, "Oh, I really like your blog."
Oh, wow.
And then he asked me to come and help him write something. And then he asked me to do the tour. Brilliant. So if I hadn't have just put that out blindly into the world, none of that would have happened. And that's the reason I went full time.
Yeah, so there you go.
So I do think, if you're a new comic out there, or not even you're new, just anyone, just if you've got an idea, just do it. Put it out there. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like the same things everyone else is doing, but you just never know who sees it and where that can lead.
That's really true. Like, we got a radio show with Islington Radio off the back of me just putting up an Instagram account, and I was just taking pictures of my records and putting them up and talking about them. And then, some whatever, I've been to see a band or whatever, and it was all music based. And then this guy, Tom Bright, this musician, just messaged him and he goes, "Do you want a radio show? I've just seen your Instagram."
Wow.
And you go, "Fucking yeah." Brilliant.
Mate, that is exactly it.
Yeah.
That is exactly it. You put enough stuff out into the world, something will get picked up.
Yeah, just got to keep doing it. Stephen Grant, I mentioned this before, Stephen Grant mentioned, he said, what we're all trying to do, though, is that we're all trying to please the app. What you should be doing is just doing what you do. Mm-hmm. And then, it'll catch up with you.
Yeah. But it's like with my stuff, I could, because my videos don't get the numbers they used to, the massive numbers, I could then go, okay, right, I need to start doing walk-in videos, doing some observations. But that isn't what I do. So if that did take off, and those people then come to see me, well, it's not what that's not what they're buying.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Whereas a smaller number of people watching my one-linery videos on stage, when they come to see me, they know what they're getting.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to keep doing what's true to you, don't you? That's the thing. Yeah.
And if you can find a way of doing what you do in a way that suits the app, brilliant. But I don't think you should try to, like you say, you're right, don't think you should try to please the app, because long term, that's not really going to work out, I don't think. No,
it's unsustainable. I find it as well, so I have moments where, cause especially at the minute, especially yesterday, I go as near as yesterday, I was talking about putting some clips up, putting that, and I'm just scrolling through on the various apps, and I'm like, the world is fucking mental. Everything's gone fucking mad since Christmas. And then you go, is there any point putting anything up? Because you're just, like, it's like throwing water, like a can of water, or a bottle of water into a blazing fucking house. And is there any point? And you go, sorry, that is a terrible analogy to use at this time.
Yeah.
Going on a minute. But do you know what I mean? It's just like, what's the fucking point? But you have to fight through that, don't you?
Yes, that is literally, you just got to fight through that and just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just think Nike. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it, mate. That is it.
Yeah. And I think also, again, looking at the news and what's happening, and you kind of go, really? Is what I'm doing necessary? Is it? You know what I mean? There's so much fucking awfulness in the world, and there's me worrying that, but no one's liking my videos. It's like,
but even if they don't like it physically on the thing, there will be people liking it, and especially with what we do, it makes people happy.
Yeah.
Even if it's for that split second. So actually, with all the stuff that's happening in the world, then I think what we're doing is even more important, right?
Yeah, you're right. You are right, mate. You're right.
But it is hard. It is hard.
But you always, every time, I know we don't know each other that well, but we've spent time together and we've gigged together. You seem quite unflappable. You always seem you're always like down the middle. I never see you and you're like, oh, fucking, yesterday was a fucking pain in the ass. Or, oh, mate, it was amazing yesterday. You're like, always kind of, has that always been the way? You're quite a sort of chilled.
Yeah. But I bottle it though. It's all in there.
Right.
It's all in there. And it's only recently I've kind of, it's only recently, well, I say last sort of 5 years, I've realised that I have anxiety and all that sort of stuff. But I think I even fool myself because I just thought, well, I'm okay because I'm always relaxed. I'm always chilled. That's not a stressed out person.
Yeah.
But then what I do is I go over the things I've had to try and deal with is if I have anything I'm worried about or thinking about, I go over them all the time in my head. So if it's stuff I've got to do, I'll go, I've got to do that, and I've got to do that, and I've got to do that. Okay, great. And then 10 minutes later, I suddenly think, right, I can't forget anything I meant to do. So I've got to do that, I've got to do that, I've got to do that, I've got to do that. And it just keeps going over and over and over and over. And then if you add something in that's worrying, or there's more to it, then I get super anxious, and then I've had a few panic attacks. And then after that, I was like, right, I need to work out how to sort of deal with that. And I've only changed sort of small things. Like I'll write stuff down now.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if I've
yeah.
got stuff I've got to do, once I've written it down, I know if I need to know what I've got to do, that's where it is. And it's so simple, but it took someone to tell me to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that changed a lot. And then just breathing, like I do, like I tried to not motivate. I tried to meditate, and I just couldn't. It's that same thing of that, like we were saying, putting videos up. Actually, getting myself to sit down, set the environment up. I find that quite hard. But I noticed that the breathing side of it is all I need to do.
Right. Yeah.
So like, and it's just a really simple breathe out longer than you breathe in.
Okay.
And that completely calms me down. Because, actually, I said 5 years ago. It's probably actually 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When I realised about the sort of stressy stuff, because I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2014. But touch wood, it's completely under control, and I haven't had any issues at all. But I did have a few bad flare-ups when it started, and the thing with Crohn's is no one really knows what triggers it.
No.
There's lots of theories, but there's not really a one thing. And the first time it came on was in 2014, and it was just before my first Edinburgh show.
Right. Wow.
Second time it came on was just before my second Edinburgh show.
Oh shit.
And then the third time it flared up was I was about to do this kind of ITV pilot thing. It was the first time I'd had any kind of TV interest or anything. And that's when it clicked that that's what's triggering it, is the stress and the worry of that. So that's when I started to change a few sort of lifestyle-y things. Like I stopped drinking. I don't have any caffeine or anything like that now.
Oh really? Yeah.
Because that sort of makes me anxious. And it's like, so that breathing technique really helps. But also, I don't even know if this is a real technique or anything, but I just knowing that that's what's causing it, I can kind of turn it off. So it's like the pain of a flare up is so much, but when that starts to grumble, is what I say, it starts to grumble, I go, whatever it is I'm worrying about, because it's always something when it does it, I just go, oh, it's not worth that pain. That thing is just not worth it.
That's interesting.
And that does kind of get me in a better zone. And then I haven't had, touch wood, haven't had any trouble with it, really.
And what does it feel like? Is it like a stomach ache?
It's a real... So the doctor actually described it. It's like all of a sudden I'll get a...
Yeah, right.
And then it goes. But it's one of those things that if it didn't go, you'd pass out. It's that painful. And the doctor said it's like, his words, not mine, like a contraction. If you have a baby or something like that, it's that kind of sort of thing.
Just it all tightens up and
yeah. But like I say, it's been a few years now since it's been a problem, and I think that is a lot to do with just keeping myself in check. And also, I now know the signs of when I'm getting anxious. It's like I used to have this thing where I'd just be every so often I'd be conscious of my breathing.
Yes.
Like I'd be like, I have to think about every time I breathe in. And then I just thought it's really horrible. But I didn't know that was anxiety. I didn't know what that was. It's just a weird thing. But now if I ever feel that, I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I just think through it. And then the breathing thing, actually doing that breathing technique helps that. And then I just forget.
Yeah.
But so it is kind of like recognizing those signs. And I think I'm a better performer now because of it, because I'm so relaxed now when I'm on stage, because I don't ever let myself get nervous before a show.
Right.
And now it's just second nature that I don't get nervous. I don't even really have to think about it. But for a while I was purposely, before going on, getting myself calm. And then I realised I'm just so much better when I'm relaxed up there.
Yeah.
Well, some people use nervous energy, don't they? But for me, it's all about being completely calm and that way, when I'm doing any of the like having to ad lib a one liner or anything like that, my brain's totally free and can work. Whereas if I'm anxious, there's too much else going on in my head to be able to kind of focus it.
I know exactly what you mean. And talk about the breathing thing as well, or actually breathing in general. Sometimes I have to tell myself, like, because I realise I've just been shallow breathing all day. And I'm like, no,
Right.
yeah, and you know, like, just have a moment, take some deep breaths. And I've noticed when I get anxious, my brain focuses on one strange thing. I had the lead singer of, I think it's Ween. His name was going around in my head for a day. Just kept saying it over and over again. I'm like, fucking hell, brain.
Wow.
At the minute, what's going around in my brain is the divorce between Lily Allen and her husband, David Harbour.
Wow.
I can't stop thinking about it, and I don't know why.
It's coming up on social media a lot. Like
Yeah.
I've seen that at least 3 or 4 times today.
Yeah.
And maybe is that sort of related to like does that mirror anything that's happened with you before?
I don't know. I think,
Like
I mean, there's been a lot of...
Did you break up with Lily Allen?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Well, it was me, David and I were going
You're an
out for a
idiot.
bit, and then he met, then he met Lily, and yeah,
That's what it is.
I just felt shunned. I was shunned. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think because I saw their like Cribs episode or whatever it's called,
Right.
and their house
you
was
loved
amazing
them.
in Brooklyn. I was like, this is a beautiful house, and I think my head just goes, how can she walk away from that beautiful house?
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's got the house? Do you think he's got the house or she's got the house? I wonder who's got the house. And it just goes on and on and
Okay.
on, around
Too
and
many
around.
questions.
Yeah, and then I'm like, and then I have to go, you haven't done your tax return yet. Oh, yeah, that's why I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, so you get this. It's a nice distraction.
Yeah.
That damn tax return, mate. It's that time of year.
I'm so annoyed. I've done it again. I could have had
Yeah.
it done by November.
Yeah.
I could have done it in bloody May.
Every year, I say with my receipts, I'm going to do my receipts every day. Every
Yeah.
day. There's no reason not to. It'll take 1 minute to quickly put all your receipts through,
Yeah.
but you don't, and then you have this horrible job.
I got a
So
whole
annoying.
carrier bag full. I did one year where it was spreadsheets and envelopes. It was all divided up. And I just put, every day I'd come in, I'd put my receipts in the thing. That was 1 year I did that. I've been doing comedy 20 years.
That's-
And then Kate just keeps going, have you done your tax return? I'm like, it's not helping when you keep asking me. She says, well, I've done
No.
mine.
What do you think that is? Because that is a thing that I used to, when my mum used to want to get me to do things, that used to have the opposite effect.
Yeah. It's called something, it's not aversion, but it's something where, I don't know what it is. It's just something that if you know you need to do something, you just can't. I just can't make myself do it. And nobody can make me do it. I have to have a moment. And I know when it'll happen. It'll be on Sunday night at 1:30 in the morning. And my brain will go, do it now. And I'll sit at the kitchen table just with receipts everywhere. And I'll be up till 5 and I've done it all. And it'll be that mad moment. I've never got any money either. Just my brain's a mess, absolute mess. Because I owe money to you owe money to wherever and like bills and things like that, and then you get like paid for a gig, 300 quid, and you go, yeah, brilliant, and then you act like you're a millionaire for a day.
Yeah.
I need shooting.
Yeah, it's like that kind of that thing of that moment of being able to do something. It's like I'll struggle to get out of bed. Just I always have ever since I was a teenager. I could just lay in bed forever.
Yeah.
But I've worked out that if I put a podcast on, just hearing people talking, I can get up. I don't know what that is.
That's interesting.
I have no idea what that is, but I do it, and then I just go. I don't, that's weird, isn't it?
There has to be a catalyst to get you going. Although I have to ease into the day, even though we've got the little one and he's up and ready and wow, he's 100 miles an hour. Even with him, when it's me and him, I'm like, right, come on in, we're going to have a bit of breakfast and we will ease into the day. Whereas Kate is a morning person, And she'll come down the stairs and she's singing opera and she's singing this and that. And I'm like, babe, do you know what? You just, no. She does these gothic versions of like hit songs for some reason.
Wow.
So I'll get Morning is Broken, but sung in like a goth style.
You need to train your brain so that's the thing that gets you going. Like my podcast.
Yes. That's exactly what I need to do. Yeah, you're right. Mate, so anyway, we're going off here. I'm chatting bollocks now. You're going on tour again?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not till 2026, but
Okay.
it's on sale. Well, actually, when's this going out?
This will go out more or less immediately. I think next week. Yeah, next week.
So it'll be on sale in a week or so.
Yeah. All right.
Probably.
And that must be mad that you're planning, like you're into 2026 already.
But it's one of those things that, like I was saying with the videos, it's because with social media, people gradually discover you.
Yeah.
What I've noticed is with my tour, if you slowly, so say you give yourself enough time, I get like what I call trickle sales. So as people discover you, they'll look to see where you're gigging and then they'll buy a ticket. I don't get kind of, wow, everyone buys them at once like Oasis, or do you know what I mean? Anything like that. But so I need enough time to sell them so that, people can gradually...
Oh, I see. Yeah.
There's a gradual sale. Whereas if I put a show on with 3 months, 3 months in advance, it wouldn't sell out.
Right. That's interesting.
I don't think. So, yeah, so it's quite nice because then that gives me a year just to work towards it. And I know that if people find me, they can find tickets. Because there's this weird moment now where before, when the tour was on sale, if people discovered me, they could go straight buy a ticket. But now I've had a month where there are no tickets really on sale.
Right, okay.
So in my head, I'm like, God, I'm missing all these opportunities to, for people to come and see me if they discover me in this window.
Yeah.
Which is probably, it's probably mad to be thinking like that.
I think this just goes to show what an absolute bag of worms we have. Not even a can. It's a bag of worms that we have for brains.
Yeah.
It's just absolute it's a mess, isn't it? And like you say, the things we think about.
Yeah. The things we fret over.
aren't the amount of times this is something I learned last year, and I've said this on here before. Worrying about things I'd said in the past, like way back, even when I was a kid, and I did a gig, and someone from my school that I grew up with was there, and I was talking to her on stage. I said, "Oh, yeah, we went out for a bit when we were this age," and she went, "I don't remember you." And I've been fretting about something I'd said, done.
Wow.
Didn't even remember that she'd met me. So all these things we fret about.
Yeah, I'd say 99% that people don't. What is in our heads? It's so much bigger than anyone else.
Yeah.
No one cares.
No one cares. So if you're listening to this, no one cares. Stop worrying about it.
But it's like even like that. Like you weren't at the comedian's Christmas party, were you?
No.
Like it's all right now because I don't drink. But when I used to drink, after an event like that, when there's so many people from the industry, the day after I'd be full of anxiety.
Oh, mate, yeah.
As in, how did I come across? Did I sort of go to talk to someone and walk past someone else who then now they think I ignored them, and all that stuff used to go through my head. And again, that's another reason why I stopped drinking, because it just stopped all that needless anxiety. And there's never an issue, not so far as I know. But like at the moment, thing that I'm sort of, because I'm releasing my comedy special at the end of January.
Okay.
And now that's the thing I'm most anxious about, because I'm like, what if no one listens to it? like I've spent quite, because these days you have to self-produce it.
Yeah.
I spent money on it, and then it's like, and you put it on YouTube, and it's got the algorithm. You've got how are people gonna, why will people find it? And at the moment I'm going through the edit, and I've got to get a sound guy to sort all that stuff out. So all these little things are kind of, and I've got a deadline that I've got to reach. So that's all quite stressful. But again, it shouldn't be, should it?
It shouldn't be.
It's a really nice thing to be able to do.
But it's like you say, you want it to be the best it can be, and you've worked really hard on it, and you just want people to enjoy it, and You know, this is why it's part of what we do, isn't it? It's why we are. As I don't want. It sounds big-headed to say we're good at what we do, but we work really hard to be good at what we do, and this is part of it. It's the worry about what you're putting out. It's not just bunging stuff out. It's like it's got to be this, and I want people to enjoy it, and I want it to look like that. It's got to sound like this, because we worry about those details. Yeah, that's why we are where we are in the comedy world, I suppose. And
also that whole thing is developing as well, because everyone's doing it now. So you don't want yours to suddenly not look like anywhere near on par with everyone else's.
Oh, mate, so I did one with Next Up, and then that ended up on ITVX, and then it's on Amazon Prime. Now, a few years ago, you'd have gone, fucking hell, look at that. I've got a thing on ITVX. I'm on Amazon Prime. And then I got the numbers through, and you go, no one's watched it. And you go, and it just, it is that.
This is it. That's why I think, because I was trying to work out where to put mine. I think YouTube probably is the best place, because it's just the easiest access for people to be able to find it. Whereas, like you say, if it's on Amazon, they've got to be a member of Amazon.
Yeah.
They've got to, unless you've told them it's there, they've got to be able to stumble across it.
Yeah.
It's not easy, is it? Are you ever going to be able to take that off of there?
Yeah,
and
eventually.
Put it elsewhere. There's a time limit, is there?
I think it's like, sorry, I do apologise. I think it's like 2 years, and then you can do stuff with it. But yeah, I think YouTube is the way to go, because everyone knows what it is. Everyone just click and videos come up, like you say. But with other things, they've got to go into the app, and they've got to sign up, then they've got to do the thing, they've got to do that.
Yeah.
And I think you've built up enough of an audience, mate. I think you're going to be all right. I genuinely think you're going to be fine.
Mate.
You're going to be fine, mate. Don't worry about it. And
but then you got to go, well, what is fine? like what is that kind of, what is a good number?
You want it
because it's unlimited. It's unlimited.
Like someone said it was like 1 million views, and what would that get you? $8,000 or something? Not even that.
Oh, as in the YouTube paying you?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't even thought about that.
Shit.
I just want people to see it, and then, do you know what I mean? And then buy tickets off the back of it, I guess.
That's what you want. That's the best way to think about it, Mark. That is the best way to think about it. Don't worry about what I just said. Ignore that. That's a man not really knowing what he's talking about, trying to sound like he knows what he's talking about. That's what that was. This has been great, Mark.
But
Thank you so much.
Would be nice.
$8,000, wouldn't it be nice? Just $8,000.
Yeah,
wouldn't it? Be nice.
That would cover what it's cost to do it.
That's it.
It's not quite that much.
That's the most you can hope for. Get your money back.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, where can we find you on social media?
So social media at Jokes with Mark across all your socials. At Jokes with Mark, and I put up sort of little short clips every day. And then go to YouTube if you like one-liners. My show's called Quip Off the Mark. Quip Off the Mark. Nice. See what I did there?
Oh, he's very nice. Very nice.
That's a good. The thing with that title is that's another bit of anxiety I've had is what to call the next show, because for that's almost a perfect title, because I do quips. My name's Mark. I'm quite quick off the mark, so Quip Off the Mark. And
brilliant.
But I can't. I'm struggling for the next one.
Oh yeah, you done.
I'll figure something.
We'll figure. That's going to be
again,
in my head
now. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter, because as long as your name's on it, people aren't going to be put off because of the show title. But I do stress about it. It's stupid.
This is we do, mate. We overthink it. It's fucking great.
You've been trying to stop this interview for ages, and I keep telling you more.
I don't know.
I keep telling you more things I'm anxious about. You got me rolling.
This happens every time. It gets to like the last 5, and then something. I've had this before, and something clicks, and we just
girlfriend left me.
We carry on. Well, that's the thing. I didn't know whether to get into it a bit more personal. We get into a few more personal bits, but it goes where it goes, Mark. It goes where it goes.
Where it goes, mate. It's been a really nice chat. Really
nice chat. It has been lovely having you on. So this has been Insane in the Membrane. This has been the brilliant Mark Simmons. I don't know, I'm pointing that way. It could be that way. I've been Rich Wilson, and we'll see you next time.